A few years ago, I made a video talking about emo revival, but the revival is dead. Well, dead is a bit harsh, but it's no longer the newest brand of emo that's out there. And what is the newest brand of emo that's out there? Fifth wave. And what is fifth wave, you ask? Well, that's actually a lot more of a tricky question than you would imagine. In many ways, I think fifth wave is the birth child of the My Chemical Romance, of the Fall Out Boy era of music, sort of just mixed with the internet. Having access to basically every form of media that has ever existed right at your fingertips has really influenced, I think, this current era of not only fifth wave emo, but music in general. People genre blend in ways that no one really had ever before. Fifth wave takes influence from folk punk, from hyperpop, from easycore, grunge, noise, bedroom pop, emo revival, hardcore, basically everything. And I know all those things sound really far apart from each other, and it's hard to imagine a cohesive sound. And that's actually very true. Most of fifth wave is very varied, and it is a massive movement of young people and people in their early 20s creating music that hasn't really been made in the same way before. I think fifth wave, more so than any wave in the past, has had a little bit of something for everyone. Speaking of everyone, everyone has a voice in this era of emo. Again, more so than I think in any other wave that we've ever seen previously. If you're straight and cisgender, if you're cis and homosexual, if you're non-binary, if you're trans, they have bands that I think that you can find extremely relatable with their lyrics and their messages, and also just representation as a whole. It's truly awesome to see. It's something that I don't think that we've seen in any other wave of emo, and I truly congratulate and applaud everyone in this wave for being so open and positive and accepting. With that being said, obviously, I don't want to see any kind of nonsense in the comments. This is not the channel for that. Take it somewhere else. And with that in mind, I'm going to talk about some of the biggest bands slash some of my personal favorite bands from this particular wave of emo. And at the end of each band, I'm going to list off a couple of other bands that sort of have a similar sound and vibe that the main band that I was just talking about did. So that way you have a couple different things to look at. First up, we have arguably one of the biggest bands and most influential in the wave, Home Is Where. And honestly, only a place like Florida could have created such a chaotic mess that is Home Is Where. If you're a fan of Neutral Milk Hotel and ever wanted them to be more angry and just more, I think you might have just stumbled across your new favorite band. They released I Became Birds in 2021, and they've really kind of swept the scene, even going as far as to have an Audio Tree live session, which is honestly just awesome. To get an idea of their sound, I would listen to the Scientific Classification of Stingrays, which is a personal favorite of mine. Assisted Harakari is another must listen, and from their Audio Tree live, honestly, I would just listen to the whole thing. It's an amazing listen. The video is awesome. But a song that really kind of hits with me and really kind of applies to what I was talking about earlier. You have the song Nouns, which is just chef's kiss. The passion and just sheer amount of emotion is what I love about emo music specifically, but what I love about this wave even more so. A couple bonus bands that have a similar vibe. You're going to want to listen to Ogbert the Nerd, Guitar Fight from Fooly Cooley, and Retirement Party. The next band that we're going to talk about here is really going to start to give you an idea of just how diverse the sound of fifth wave is. Glass Beach is just this perfect melody of punk rock and synth wave and jazz and just this very theatrical experience. Their first release, very humorously called the first Glass Beach album, sounds like it's like waiting to become some kind of big Broadway musical, and it's amazing. They do so well at just combining layers and layers and layers of sound, and you can tell that everyone in this band is just a music nerd because the things that they're doing are just so unique, and I can't even quite put words to the just amount of complexity that they are able to cram into every song but still make it just unbearably catchable. To get the best idea of their overall sound, I would give the opening two tracks a listen. Classic Jade Dives and Goes to Hell Part 1 and Bedroom Community. Both of them are kind of more upbeat. They have a lot of bounciness to them. There's a big, catchy chorus that you just want to yell and scream along to. Truly gives you a good idea of what is going to follow throughout the rest of the album. A personal favorite of mine is Neon Glow. I wouldn't say it's quite as energetic as the first two, but it has a very nice atmosphere while still feeling just catchy and fun and, like I said, atmospheric. I can't really think of a better word to describe it. Really, if you love Panic at the Disco and My Chemical Romance, desire and ability to be theatrical, I think that you're really going to love Glass Beach. And with that being said, I'd be remiss to mention that they did cover The Black Parade by My Chemical Romance. It's not my favorite cover or my favorite song by them. They don't stray too far from the base of what the song is, but it's still a good listen, and it really just kind of goes to show how similar of a vibe these guys kind of have to that era specifically. If any of that sounds interesting, the two bands that I would recommend outside of them are Hey I Love You, spelled Hey ILY, and Weather Days. I would like to take just a moment to say thank you so much for watching this video so far. And if you're enjoying it, be sure to like and subscribe. Maybe show it to your friend of yours. All that YouTuber things that you say. But I do plan on coming out with some more videos of a similar nature in the future. So stick around and see what's going to happen. Dreamy, powerful, and oddly nostalgic? Pool Kids. If the intricacies of bands like Circa Survive and Emerosa kind of catch your ear and are something that you like, but you wish they actually had a catchy chorus, I would highly recommend Pool Kids. Every song off of Music to Practice Safe Sex to sounds like something I want to lay on the floor and just drunkenly cry to at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I mean that in the absolute best way possible. They really kind of give me a very like Lydia and Daughter vibe, and just their vibe. The music doesn't quite sound the same. The music is definitely a lot closer to things like Circa Survive, but there's just this sort of sad atmosphere to them in the same way that Lydia and Daughters pulls off. So what's the first song that you should start your 3 o'clock drunken crying to? I would definitely say They Only Like Me for My Feels and Not My Feels. It's just an absolute powerhouse of a song. It is very jammy, but you can feel the feels. You can feel the feels. You can feel the feels. I can't really think of a better word to describe this music other than just jams and feels. While They Only Care About My Feels and Not My Feels is one of their more jammy songs, Borderline is just straight feels all the way through. The perfect song for laying on the floor and crying to at 3 o'clock in the morning. Rick's Toy Box makes for an amazing closer on this album, and it also makes for one of my personal favorite songs off of this release. Your two bonus bands are going to be Blue Deputy and Crying. Before we get into the last band, I'm going to mention two other bands that are kind of similar, Lobster Fight and Precious Little Life, and the next band make up for probably my three favorite artists that come out of the Fifth Wave movement. Are you looking for something truly unique? Truly unique. Like something that you've never really heard before, or have only found on the most deepest, darkest parts of the internet and has never seen the light of day. Screamo bedroom pop? Well, look no further than Your Arms Are My Cocoon. Melodica, electric drum beats, riffy guitars, and just guttural screaming that sounds like it was recorded under a blanket while also somehow sounding like it was a soundtrack to a Game Boy. If that does not entice you, then I don't know what else to say. If you're a fan of the Brave Little Abacus and haven't already listened to Your Arms Are My Cocoon or haven't already stumbled across him, I would say go listen to him right now because I think that he is very much your cup of tea. Your Arms Are My Cocoon is really a perfect example of what happens whenever one person has just a very specific idea. They know exactly what they want to make, and they make it, and they do it well. All they really have out right now is an EP and a few features, and they are featured on a couple splits. There's only about 9 songs altogether that they've released, and every one of them is very, very good and very entertaining. But if I had to pin it down, I would really say Snowy is probably your best bet to get an idea of what the artist was trying to portray with their music. If you want to listen to any of the songs that I've talked about, I've included a playlist in the description down below that you can go check out, as well as an extensive playlist made by the Sounds of Spotify that cover so much music, so much good music. I would highly recommend checking it out. But if you are looking for just the specific songs that I've talked about, I have a link for that in the description, as well as all my social media. So be sure to go check them out. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.